Hello and welcome to Nightmare Masterclass. My name is David Stockdale. I'll be your host on this excursion into the dark unknown. I hope you're ready to have your expectations challenged and your fears provoked, because in this installment I'd like to introduce you to a particularly unconventional horror film by the name of Skinamarink. Now I must issue a warning, this film is not for the faint of heart. It delves into some deeply unsettling territory, but I would implore you to approach it with an open mind. I must also note that the film's pacing is unlike the mainstream products that you may be used to. While Skinamarink may challenge your attention span in addition to your comfort level, I believe it has the potential to be a truly transformative and thought-provoking viewing experience for those brave enough to endure it. So if you're ready to embrace the unknown and confront your nightmares head-on, let's dive into Skinamarink. Skinamarink was written and directed by an up-and-comer named Kyle Edward Ball. It is his first feature-length directorial effort. The movie follows two toddlers who awaken in the wee hours of the night to find that their father is nowhere to be found. To top it off, all of the doors and windows in their home have vanished into thin air. The struggles of parenthood. One minute you're tucking your little ones into bed, and the next you've disappeared into the ether, leaving them to fend for themselves against the phantasmagoric unknown. Skinamarink premiered at the 26th Fantasia Film Festival on July 25th, 2022, and had a limited theatrical release last week, with an eventual release on Shudder to follow at some point later this year. I had a chance to catch the movie recently, and I will say this is an extremely challenging work in a number of respects. It would suffice to say at this point that I believe it has real artistic merit, despite whatever negative reactions are prompted in the wake of its release. And you know, any film that makes people walk out of the theater is at the very least making them feel something, which you can't really say for a lot of movies. If you have the patience to sit through some of the slower sequences of the film, I believe you will be rewarded. Although, that's a bit of a strange thing to say, because in this case, the reward is that the film will make you feel like you're trapped in a hellish, never-ending game of chutes and ladders, tumbling through the liminal spaces of a domestic hellscape with no hope of breaking away. Ooh. At first glance, the grainy quality of Skinamarink might lead one to assume that it was shot on 16mm film, a medium known for its distinctive texture and aesthetic. However, it turns out that the graininess in this case is actually a digital affectation, a conscious decision by the filmmaker to create a certain aesthetic. The film's use of digital technology to simulate a general look of a bygone era can be understood as a commentary on the way in which the past is constantly being repackaged and repurposed in the present. The film is coated in an artificial veneer, a distortive layer, which, in my view, emulates the sensation of recalling childhood memories. In this case, of course, it would seem that the memories aren't so good. On that note, I should also mention that the film makes use of various iconic toys, which will likely evoke a sense of nostalgia for the viewer, conjuring memories of one's own childhood. These cultural artifacts serve as exceedingly recognizable touchstones, evoking a sense of comfort and warmth. However, the film subverts this sense of nostalgia by utilizing these toys in a disturbing and unsettling manner, manipulating them to create a sense of horror and unease. The manipulation of familiar objects is a common technique in horror storytelling, as it plays on our expectations and emotions, making the familiar strange and the ordinary uncanny. This cinematic blurring of the lines between the comforting and the disturbing effectively demonstrates the power of the unknown to disrupt our sense of stability and security. The real question at this point would be, why does the film have this general effect? To answer this, we have to work to properly contextualize the film. Primarily, I would argue that the work is a cinematic vision which seeks to convey what it's like to grow up in a broken home. Familial disintegration, or family breakdown, is a process by which families become fragmented and disconnected. This is a significant problem in society, and it has far-reaching consequences for individuals, specifically children. The rate of divorce has been steadily increasing in recent decades, and this has contributed to the growing number of single-parent households in the United States. Children from broken homes are more likely to experience a range of negative outcomes, including poor academic performance, behavioral problems, mental health issues, poverty, and difficulty forming healthy relationships in adulthood. These general trends can be understood broadly as the result of current economic incentives which shape individuals and families operating within our system. In modern society, there tends to be an underlying ideological presumption, a general emphasis on the individual's ability to compete and succeed in the marketplace. This often leads to individuals prioritizing their own self-interest and career advancement over the well-being of their family. I would argue that the current economic incentives in place create a general environment where individuals are constantly in competition with one another for resources and opportunities. In times of crisis, this inevitably leads to a lack of social cohesion and, importantly, a breakdown of the family structure. The nuclear family can be understood primarily as an economic unit. Its main function is to reproduce the labor force. Thus, the imperative is to provide for its members, but when economic conditions change, such as job loss, debt, or lack of opportunities, the family unit may fall apart. As a result, many individuals, specifically those from marginalized groups, may find themselves without the support and resources necessary to form and maintain a stable family themselves. There is also this general culture of consumerism in Western society, and this contributes to familial disintegration as well. The constant pressure to acquire material goods and the constant need to keep up with the Joneses tends to put a strain on relationships and results in individuals prioritizing their own desires over the well-being of their family. We see in the film the endless proliferation of toys which of course provide little solace given the total disruption of their typical function, entertainment. Instead, these numerous commodities operate in a totally alien fashion. This leads to a breakdown in these kids' ability to make sense of the world around them. The film's exploration of social atomization and familial disintegration can be seen in the way that the two toddlers are forced to fend for themselves in their home without the presence of their parents. The absence of the parental figure serves as a metaphor for the manner in which families are, through societal forces that are beyond any one person's control, torn apart in modern society. The children are left to navigate this new hellish reality with no possibility of reestablishing the stability and comfort of their former life. For those who have braved the harrowing experience, it will come as no surprise that the film features a world literally turned upside down, with toys falling to the ceiling as though gravity itself has been inverted. This is a powerful visual metaphor that clearly represents the emotional state of the film's young protagonists who find themselves in a world that makes no sense, where the rules and norms they have come to rely on have been totally shattered. The true horror of Skinamarink lies in this sense of disorientation and confusion, in the feeling of being adrift in a world that no longer makes sense. This is a film that forces the viewer to question their own sense of stability and security, to question their assumptions about the world and their place in it. And I have a feeling that's precisely why it evokes such a strong negative reaction in some people. But if you're ready to have your world turned upside down, then Skinamarink is the film for you. Now, if you enjoy my videos, maybe you should consider supporting me on a monthly basis at patreon.com/Nightmare Masterclass. You can join for as little as $1 a month, just $1 a month, folks. Think about it. That wraps it up for this installment of Nightmare Masterclass. Thank you for watching, and good night.